Good afternoon, y'all. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the live. Today we're going to talk to you guys about transitioning. Transitioning. Okay, so let's define transitioning because transitioning has many different kinds of variations here. Transitioning can be your life. Transitioning can be done within your gender. Um, Transitioning can be from one state to another state, as in like a mental state, a emotional state, that kind of thing. um, so today we're talking about transitioning from one time in your life to another time in your life, more specifically at work. Now, typically at work, you're going to go from one place to another. Okay. I know folks who have been at one place their whole time, their whole life. And you know what? That's okay. More power to you. I appreciate that. I admire you. I think you're courageous. But more often than not, folks, people like me transition. They transition from job to job, career to career, job to career, career to job, career to retired, retired to a job. You name it, right? They even do it in sports, right? People retire and then they come back. Um, we're not gonna get into that. But anyway, for the sake of this video, folks, um, let's talk about transitioning. So you're going to come up with a thing that you want in life, a goal, right? We all have goals. We all have goals to where we want to succeed. We want to succeed to please our family. We want to succeed to please our friends, our loved ones, our kids, those that have perished, those that are going to be brought into our world. You want to make them proud. You want to make them happy, right? I get that. So you're going to go and pick something that you want to do, right? That could be a job, could be a career, could be a hobby, you name it. Okay. And we're tailoring this specifically to a job, but I'm trying to get you guys here in the mind frame so you can understand where I'm coming from, so you can understand where this progression is kind of diving into. Um, and I'm just gonna put it out there, folks. As you can see right over there, I'm live. Okay, right there. You see it? Hi. I don't I don't edit my things. I'm just giving it to you raw as it is, unfiltered, completely genuine. So, having said that, let's dive into this, right? We talked about transitioning. We talked about making people proud. Okay. Now, I have been in multiple jobs. Now, I don't have a physical copy of my resume, but I have an extensive line of jobs. Okay. I started my job history, my job career at 2004. Okay. And at 2004, I went to a job which was Cold Stone Creamery. Okay. Cold Stone Creamery was an ice cream shop. Let's set the scene for you. It's 2004. I'm about 17 years old, 17, 18 years old. Okay. And no, because you have to be older than 17. I think I was 18 and a half years, almost 19. So I was 19 at the time. Okay. Was still in school. And I needed some money. Now, I was raised that you needed to earn your own money. And that's true. That's fair, right? I can't fault people. I can't disfault people, right? It is what it is. Um, and guys, I'm gonna pause the thought here. You guys are actually seeing my apartment. Okay, this is my room in my apartment. Right over there is my closet. You're actually seeing the bathroom right here. Okay. And I'm in the corner right here. Yes, I have the whole lights and the whole shebang, right? And then obviously right over there's my bed. You can see some of my PJs and stuff. Anyway, so back to where I was going with that. So you guys are seeing a new place that I'm filming, but anyway, moving forward, you guys know my brain is all over. So it's 2004, and I'm working at Colston Creamery at the age of 19. And I went there, and I was just making money because I wanted new gadgets, I wanted new toys, I wanted expensive things, so I bought them with my own money, right? And I was just going there to make money. And then I kept going to the other things, like I went into food. I went into stores, right? Basically like grocery stores, right? I worked there while I was in high school, 2006, 2007, and then I migrated into like more extensive retail like Radio Shack and Best Buy and stuff of that sort, okay? So now we're going to get to about 2012, and I decided to take on construction, right? And I thought was retail was my thing. No, it's good. You guys should try retail. It's a very eye-opening industry and a very warm, welcoming type of thing. But by no means do I think that I should tell you you have to do it. I recommend it. Like 95.95% of you should. And that was a weird number, but just heck, go with it. So I basically went from retail into construction, and which was a weird job change. It was a blue collar job change from I'm gonna call it semi blue collar because you're kind of stepping into like pen and paper type management ish when you do retail, and then you're like physically walking around and doing things because you have to put stuff on the stock. That's blue collar work. You're physically moving your hands and your feet, right? Blue collar work. No, I know you guys are gonna come out like, "That's nothing like blue collar work." I get it. I'm using that to be an analogy, okay? Um, so I decided, yeah, well, at some point, I don't wanna be there my whole life. I don't wanna keep stocking items on a shelf, right? So, at 2014, I went to Walmart. Things didn't really work out for me, but I was there for a while, okay? I went to a store, a local store, and, I started, in VA, okay, and, I ended up basically staying around VA for a while. I'm not gonna disclose the exact city I'm in now, but I'm in Texas, okay? That's foreshadow way, way, way in advance, okay? And, basically, the kind of big thing here to take away from that is that I went from one store. I was a very low sales associate stocker, like food stocker, just putting items on the shelf. And then people approached me and decided that I could do more. So then I went into other areas. And then I took on the role of being a department head, being a zone manager, right? A person that would oversee a certain area of your work area. Now I'm using terms that are not technically the same words that Walmart would use, but I wanna give you, like, a general picture of the type of places and things I'm talking about, right? So don't come at me all technical, all right? We'll get that later. This channel's somewhat technical, but not entirely technical. We get technical when it comes to aviation and that sort, but not just really other stuff. Because this is about life in aviation, aviation itself, aviation's, thoughts and things and stuff. So we're doing some like aviation life things, but this whole presentation I'm talking to you about is going to talk about basically going from one station to another and things to think about, right? So I jumped a couple of positions, and then I was approached by management, upper management, okay, sometimes even upper management, like upper management. They came to speak to me, and they said, "Well, we noticed that you have a knack for doing this. Can you continue to do this? But we have a couple of other locations. Are you willing to relocate?" And I said, "Absolutely, I'm willing to relocate. Where do you need me?" And I said, "But quick question: Are you going to house me? Are you going to relocate me? Are you going to retransport me?" He goes, "No, you don't have to do none of that. It's going to be within the same 50 to 100 miles of you." I'm like, "Okay." So I can go home and every night sleep in my own bed. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're good. slowly transitioned out to a store, and they liked my rearranging, and I basically went back to my old store and said, "Wow, we liked it so much that we wanna have you open a brand new store, okay? So come on out and see your brand new store in another area," which I'm not gonna disclose. Um, and it was in the Northern Virginia area, right? From one part of Northern Virginia to another part of Northern Virginia, okay? It's where I was working. And, it was a big brand company, Walmart. And I opened the store, I put new stuff in, I installed brand new shelves, I rearranged new product, and it was only supposed to be a temporary project to be able to understand the way a store opens. It was a very, very, very heartwarming, heartfelt experience for me. I loved it. It was something I will never forget. The people, the things, the memories, the thoughts, the laughs, everything. The tears, even, because I have had a few. Don't get me wrong. Things aren't just peachy for me, guys. There are some tears, there's some breakdowns, there's some screams, and there's some I wanna quits too. So, I didn't think nothing of it, and they offered me a job right on the spot, said, "We wanna keep you permanently. Stay with us, please." So I did. So I stayed with them for, like, a year and a half, and I got a bigger advancement back in my old store that I stayed at, right? So I'm kinda transitioning back and forth between stores, but, like, positions and increases in pay and promotions and stuff. But I basically endured different areas of these stores in different locations, right? One store is not gonna be the same footprint and the same orientation as another store. Like, you're not gonna find clothes here at one store and clothes here at another store. You'll find clothes here at one store and clothes here in another store. Make sense? So they're different, they're laid out. They have their own way of doing things, and that's okay. That's how they wanted it, and I can't fault them for that. But, one thing that, I wanna talk to you guys about is that I didn't have, an imagination. I didn't have a path. I didn't have an insight. I didn't have a foreseeable progression for me to stay there, right? And as I look back, I realize that I've been at that same company for a while. I practically was there for 3 some years. So I've put some time in, right? And you'd think, "Well, why'd you leave? You were there for 3 years. You could have done 5, 10, 15, and put a lot of time in there." But it all came down to one day when, someone approached me and said, "I want you to work at a new industry entirely. Go work with planes. Go work in an airport." So I did. I left that, headed to the airport, and packed my bags, kinda technically, and I went into the airport and started working. Now, I went and applied for IAD. As you guys remember, that's where I started this whole channel, right? Sorry. So, in the comments down, think there. Sorry. Yeah, right there. I have to get used to this. So, it's right down there. I pointed to where the comments were, or you're going to see them down there. Okay. So, IAD, and that's the International Airport of Dulles. All right. And I was there from 2016, from October until roughly 2020, 2021, when I pretty much had to leave due to the pandemic, and I loved it. And, I traveled all over, and there were some trips I took to, Texas, to Oklahoma, to Missouri, to San Diego, to Florida, to North Carolina, to Tennessee, you name it. Okay. All domestic, by the way. And then I exposed myself in 2018 to dating, and dating brought me into the Texas airports: Houston Hobby, IAH, George Bush, DFW, and all that stuff. So I went there more times, and I said, "Oh, this place is beautiful. What if I worked here?" So I mentally checked myself there and kinda checked myself out where I was. Now, I didn't really just kinda meander my brain while I was working because that's dangerous. You don't ever wanna do that. You can get tunnel vision, and tunnel vision is very, very bad, folks. It's easy to get, and you don't wanna get yourself trapped, okay? But let's continue with this video because I don't wanna go into a big rabbit hole. So, we ended up we as in, like, you, my family, and my brain, and my physical self, and people that have inspired me and encouraged me, we went ahead and moved my job from IAD to the Texas and Houston area, okay, which is IAH. Now, I am here now, today, present day, but I didn't start there. I started in another station, okay? Okay, so we have all the tidbits. You guys ready? We've pretty much knocked out, most of the things that I need to get off my chest that I need to explain to you so you're on the same page, right? Everything kind of makes sense. Like I don't have to retell the long story all over again. Okay. So, we need to explain the process because it's not all going to be the same, but also heed my warning. This process is not a technical process. Some of this process is a confidential process, which I'm not going to disclose that classified information to you, unfortunately, because I have to by law. Um, I am going to tell you that this process is very similar to any process you would have to face if you were in pretty much any other industry having to go through a similar process of that sort. Okay. So, um, let's begin with where and how I got my job with Dulles. So it's day one, it's October 2016. Okay. And I went and worked for a company. I'll tell you guys right now, it was Swissport. Okay. Swissport USA. And they needed a lot of things from me. They needed my resume, my work history, my background, and they needed my criminal history. Well, I passed everything, but it came at a cost. Now, I have no criminal history, never really got involved with the law. Okay. Now, yes, I do have some violations. I do have some traffic tickets, but I'm willing to bet that all of you have at least some form of a violation. Now, does it have to be a recordable violation? No. It could be a small, minor, I'm at fault, I did it wrong kind of violation, but we all have some sort of violation. I'm not perfect. So I had a good background check, meaning the criminal history went through, right? Background check. I don't have any things outstanding against me, nothing that I'm misleading them. So I have good renters history, as in like I have good feedback from people, like that sort of thing. And I also have good employment history. Shall we dive into that? um, Folks, from 2004 to 2025, I've had 23 different people who hired me. Now, that is insane. Why did you leave all of them, bruh? Because each place I went to didn't value me like I wanted, didn't see the potential in me like I could, didn't want me to stay there on my dime, didn't want me to stay there on their dime. It came at a lot of costs. But I also took a lot of that stuff. So I went and did and applied, and everything went through. So then I was given a congratulatory welcome to this company, right, back in 2016, and they gave me clearance to be able to work there. Most of you guys call it security clearance, right? I won't tell you, where you have to go, who you have to talk to, and how to do it and how to fill it out. It's just not something I need to be doing or should tell you anyways. But just know that they're doing this extensive background check. They're checking everything against my will to make sure that I'm not a criminal and that I'm not going to pose a threat. Okay? That's all you need to know. So basically, it got to where I was able to work there on a daily basis, right? I was there to clock in inside the facility, do my work outside, clock out, and leave the facility, sleep on my bed each and every night. Okay. And then I would go there each and every day until I had my day off, right? And I would come home. Now, my first day, they put me in the baggage room. Okay. They explained to me how to read a baggage tag. They explained to me how to do a lot of things. They explained to me the process, the way it works when you're at the ticket podium, how you get your luggage from there onto the plane. Because we all think you just give it to some person and then they magically bring a cart and it's there, right? They just physically put it in the plane, right? Doesn't work that way. But you guys already knew that. I don't need to explain this to you. You're not in kindergarten, right? Neither am I. So moving forward, we are at the point where I learned how to read a tag, okay? And I realized you need to memorize letters because these letters indicate something. These letters indicate where I'm going. They're indicating where I'm coming from. Hey, Sean, you should probably memorize these because if you plan to stay here, I don't know, seems to be rather important, right? Kind of something you should know. Okay. So then, me being on the spectrum, it basically kind of instilled you should do your research, you should do your knowledge, you should check up on it, and you should do your homework. So I did. Now, I don't have a whole thick book, but at one point I did have about 5 sheets of paper filled out with all these destinations, local, domestic, international, that kind of thing, right? Specific destinations. And we had to know them, and I still do, right? Uh, and so I went from working in the bag room, and they said, "Well, if you know how to read a bag tag, guess what? Skirt, scoot, scoot, out you go. We're gonna put you outside." "What do you mean outside?" I don't know how to touch it. I don't know where to stand at. I don't know where to be. It's huge. It's massive. What am I doing? So they put me outside and they explain, okay, you're gonna stay here. You're gonna wait for it to come in, and then you're going to go over and open it, and you're going to pull bags out to download. Okay, cool. I didn't realize that we were gonna be using machines and tractors and equipment and stuff. So they explained that. And from day one, they said, okay, this is how it works. And they jumped off and they said, get ready, jump on it, have at it. And they said, okay, you know, basically pull up, get ready to take the bags out. You good? You feel good? All right, do it again. Okay, turn the key. Stop. You feel good? You good? Do it again. And it felt like forever. I mean, I'm talking, it felt like I had an endless supply of I don't want tos coming, right? But I did it. Kept my head held high. I've learned not to fight people that are trying to encourage you, trying to help you, trying to progress what you want to do. So I listened. I kept quiet. And then we said, okay, you guys are now ready to take this into basically real time to put this in practice. Tomorrow, this was like the day before, they said, tomorrow, you have a real arrival coming in. It's this big plane, big, I mean, massive thing. It takes about 2.5 of me to touch the plane itself. Okay, it's huge. And I'm talking like the underside belly, right? At least that's what it felt like to me at the time. And I was like, cool. So this is actually happening. So they didn't say anything to us. They put the container that was supposed to have bags in there, they lowered it, and they get ready to pull it on. They said, What are you doing? Go." So I'm like, okay, normally when you're in a job, someone explains this to you. Like, this is what you do this, now you do this. Oh, no, no, go back. Now you're gonna do this. Oh, but before you do this, you gotta do this, right? Some trainers and some people are kind of an on the job and I'm gonna fill you out kind of a thing. See how you are. If you get it, I don't have to explain much, but if you don't, I have to explain everything, and I don't want to when I have a lot of people who can pick it up. So they kinda that's unfortunate, but they kinda do it that way. But nonetheless, they you get taught and you get trained, according to SOP, standard operating procedure. So you don't have to basically get the legal people involved, right? At least they don't want you to. But nonetheless, things go according to the way that they wanted to and the way that it should be, right? For the most part. Yeah. Um, and so it was like the first or second week, and they put us out onto a flight, and I went in and I volunteered myself. I said, "Oh, okay. I want to be physical. I want to get a workout." I was dating at the time, so I was like, I want to, get bulky. I want to get physique. I want to look good. So I jumped in, this pit. We call it a pit on the underside of the belly where all the bags are stored. And and in some places it's in a different part of the aircraft, but it's still the same thing. You take bags outside, give them to somebody, and they run them and they bring them to you, kind of a thing. So I got in there and it was time to load it. So they gave me a bag and I put it in there and I just, put it there. And then I put another one there and I put another one there, put another one there. And then explain nothing. It's like, dude, you only have about 40 in here. I got about 152 more. How are you going to get any of these in there? So it's like, ugh, okay, no one explained this to you? I go, no, they just put me out here. I go, ugh, go figure. So I kept my P's and Q's. But at the same token, I explained, "No, they did not teach us this. Like, I'm sorry you're upset with me, but no, they did not teach us this. And by the way, I'm foreshadowing what they're actually teaching you, what you should take with you wherever you go, is you need to learn to speak up. You need to learn to express yourself in situations where you need either more thorough information, more thorough instruction, more, resources to have available to you, like, you need to speak up, right? They're not just gonna give it to you. They're not gonna hold your hand the whole time. That's not how labor works like that. They're expecting you to ask yourself, advocate for yourself, and do it yourself, right? To that some regards. So, I'm in there stacking them, and he's like, "Okay, let me show you how to do this. You're gonna put this one this way, 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 and yada, 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 like Tetris. See? Look at how we have this first one, okay? We're gonna do the second one the same, but flip it. You're gonna put these here and then these here. These here are gonna go over here on the next row. Now, you see these 3 rows? You see how I have all those bags left? We can get those bags in here having stacked it this way. But do you see your stack versus my stack? Aha. Okay. So I need to start paying attention to what I have, what I can use, what I have to use to play with, as in the space, the resource, the time, the effort, and all that stuff, right? Because sometimes you need multiple to be able to take care of it all. So I did, and then I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, maybe it can only just happen there." Turns out you can do it in the other one too. So I did. I stacked it and we got it out. It was great. Like, oh, so you learned something. Yeah, I did. Cool. See you tomorrow. Cool. Next day, I'm gonna jump in there, load the set. No, 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 no. Wait, we do it this way. Well, did you say anything? No. So then the next day, I learned, hey, listen, I loaded this flight, it was loaded that way. Yesterday, I loaded it this way, but we wanted it done that way. I'm about to load this one. Do you have any instructions for me so I can meet your needs, I can meet your goals, and we can get this done correctly and the way it needs to be done? Yes, do this, do that, and you're good to go. All right, cool. So I did that. Now we didn't have any issues. Now, granted, we could have done it more efficient, but we had no issues. So the reasons I'm telling you this is because I was learning to take information and apply it. Okay. When you move stations, you need to take information and apply it. Okay. So that's one of my tips. Now, I'm going to kind of explain this and kind of coach you and coax you as we go along, as if you're doing this with me in real time, but I've already done it and I'm here real time. So I'm going to kind of go guide you through this process. right? And I'm not gonna take you through my entire 7 years of my career because that's just absolutely barbaric. I mean, why would you be here for an hour and 50 minutes, right? It's crazy. So I'm gonna break it kinda down Barney style, but not really. It's as if Barney was, like, kind of on a time constraint and only had about 40 minutes of showtime to do his show. Now, the shows are not that long, but you get my joke, right? If it was an hour, hour and so, but they only had 40 minutes, they have to condense it. Okay, so I'm gonna try to do my best to condense this. So I applied what I knew amongst other people. Now, when I went to another, I'm foreshadowing. I went to another um, company and I applied what I knew about the bags and loading on those planes. Now, they had a different way of sending them, a new way of organizing them. So I didn't know that, and I learned that from them. But the stacking and the placing and the orientation is not different. It's the same thing. You're still loading the same airplane type, right? Um, so yeah, uh, I ended up learning that and I applied that, but I didn't end up. What I didn't do was I didn't go there telling them, I know this, 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 I know everything. I didn't. But you know what I did? I went there and mm, kept my mouth shut, right? When you go to these places, I'm going to tell you something. And I know that it sounds like I'm telling you guys this as if you're in first grade, but I learned these from my career. And I hope this helps some of you that are just branching into this and that kind of don't have the know how yet, haven't learned it yet. Okay. People appreciate you more if you don't go parading around the information you know from previous work similar to the industry you have. And sometimes, if you do know information that can tie with the job you have, they don't want to hear you parade about all that you know. Berate it to them in your skill for the time being, and if they deem it unsafe, they will say something and they will stop you, but don't go around telling them, "Oh, I did this, I know that, I know this." You guys know when you go into, like, a place and you just like, an interview or a presentation or an instruction or a seminar, and there's someone there, right? And they're basically, like, providing, feedback. And every single time the person that's there to give some information to you, whether it be a seminar or a lesson or something, an interview, and the person is just standing up, just constantly like feeding back information and like kind of overwhelming, the whole room, the whole vibe, like, ugh, this person again. Like you get that like I don't want to deal with this right now. Like I can just do without. Let's just get this over with, like this is so awkward with this person here, kind of a vibe. Like, you don't want that vibe, right? So we can avoid all that, right? So, my second tip for you is when you go to a new place, a new transfer place, right? You're transferring your your work ethic from one company, from one location, from one place to another. Do not go there overbearing them with everything you know from the first place. Now, one caveat here. If in fact there is an open discussion and they're asking for your input and your input is of value to the conversation that you can shift into a new one that's of value to everyone, please add it to it. I'll give you an example. Okay. At my job, the plane needs to leave the gate. Someone needs to drive this tractor for the plane to leave the gate. Now you have to be instructed how to do this. You need to be observed how to do this. You need to be written, completed, and qualified to do this. Okay. We go through training too. We go through training for everything, right? Because we need to be proficient, but we need to be safe and we need to be secure about it. So I did. I've completed that multiple times. I did that with my first, company that I put down there in the comments or down there, and I did at my second company, proficient. My verbiage was great. Everything, they loved me. Pilots would always compliment me. I have to brag because I love my job and I do it so well that people think I've been there forever. So I put a pride in my work. I put pride in my emphasis on my pride, right? And I went and did it for the following one. I said, does anybody here has anybody here ever pushed back? And raised my hand and I said, absolutely. I know how to push back. And I could have left it there, but I didn't. Do you know what I said? I said, I've pushed many types of aircraft in different scenarios. Now, I just left it at that. Now, if they wanted to interrogate me further and ask me, I would have given them information on a voluntary basis, given the nature of that conversation scenarios they were trying to drive in conversation, right? But I wasn't trying to brag myself. Now, they're asking me that so that, let's say they're in training and they're trying to train new people. If I already know the skill, it doesn't make sense for them to go through step 1 all the way to step 30 if I've been to step 30 before multiple times. So they can avoid that. They can just get me further into the process of being with this new place, this new position, right? And kind of tailor their company, their process, their procedures to what I already know. Do you guys understand that? So, yes, I knew it. Yes, I could have told them everything, but I didn't. I did it on a voluntary basis. Okay. I hate using this analogy because this always causes commotion and controversy, but I'm not going to get too involved. Okay. This same analogy can be used in a traffic stop. Now, some of you guys are going to tell the officer everything. And some of you are going to keep quiet. Your lips are going to be sealed until you have the proper people present, the proper knowledge present, and the proper policies implemented. Okay. Whatever may be, right? You guys get my drift. Okay. The same applies. I could have said everything I knew, A, B, C, and D, all the way up to X, Y, and Z to them and just overwhelm them. And I could have just said, yeah. But if I told you, do you know how to push? And you tell me, yes. What are you going to imply? What are you going to think? If I tell you yes, don't you think that implies I know how to push everything all the time, any way, any shape or form? Yeah, right? Because I said yes confidently. But what if I said yes because they wrote me and certified me and I've only pushed 3 times or 2 times? Wouldn't that response be a different implication? Yes? So you get where I'm going with this. When you go to your new places, do not overwhelm these people who are training you, providing you new information, new instruction on the information that you've already knew. If they ask for it, if they voluntarily allow you to implement it in that conversation, I encourage it. Okay? So you kind of need to read them. But most of the time, 9 times out of 10, keep your lips sealed. I'm telling you, this will carry you so far. Okay. And for those in question, just so you know, I am a team lead. I lead a group of people to do all of my work, to do all of my tasks. And I started all the way at the bottom when I got here, and I'm now back where I was within a short span of time. Now, it wasn't because I knew people and I knew people and I knew people. It was because when they asked me, I had already done things. I had already known knowledge. I'd already had experience. So I could progress myself to show and express to them, I know this, but visually confirm that you see I know this, right? It's kind of like, I got you. I got you, right? You guys tell that to your homeboys, right? Your homies. And you mean it, right? I got you. Whatever you need, I got you. Whatever you need from me, I got you. You feel me? Okay. So that's my second one. My third one, and we kind of touched up on this just a bit ago, as in like 15 to 20 minutes ago, roughly. Yeah, because we're about 40 minutes in. And this is going to be kind of an extensive video, guys. So brace yourself, buckle up. If you ever work for a company and they ask you for a resume or for an application for you to fill out to submit legally, you are legally bound by the Human Body Committee to know you now have a history of jobs. And when you need to be in places that are very critical, you need to be thorough. Let me emphasize this, guys. I spent 4 hours. Let me repeat myself. I spent 4 hours in an interview for one position, making $19.50 an hour. $19.50 an hour. 4 hours. Why? Because I did not keep record of it at all. I'm gonna go to this job. Screw these guys. I don't care. Whatever. Fire me. I don't really care. Again, I'm not gonna use profanity here, so we're gonna keep it professional. Whatever, guys. You guys know the choice of words you would use, so implement them in my sentences and in my phrases, because you know which ones you'd use. I know you guys. We on the same page, right? When you do that, and listen, guys, I get it. I get it. There have been times where I wanted to leave and walk off my job because I was so overwhelmed, furious, and fed up. And yes, it's just a paycheck. Yes, it's just a job. I get it. But when you put a minute, 15 minutes, an hour of work into something, that is your time. Time is money. You can't get that back. So they need to compensate for you. Now, because they're compensating for you, you gave them your loyalty. They wanted you to stay there forever. But let's be honest. Were you? Probably not. At that age that I was at that time. We're talking in like my 20s and 70s old. It's not going to stay there forever. I was in my 20s. I was just learning the curve of life, right? I mean, I was here. I wasn't here, right? Right now, I'm at that hump. I'm kind of over the cusp of that hill, right? Because I know what to expect. I know what to do. I know where to go. If I decide to stay there, I'm absolutely going to be on my decline, right? And we'll talk about all that later because I have some new thoughts, some new, you know, ideas and some new things that I want to talk about being where I am now in my job. Because it was completely different to where I am now and my thought processes. Okay. But it's to be expected. So keep a record of all your stuff. If you guys will excuse me, I'm going to show something with you and share this with you. Now, I have my file cabinet here. As you can see right here, I have a file cabinet of files. Okay. Now, forgive me because some of these you can't really see, and I'm unfortunately sorry about that, but I can't show you completely and entirely. Okay. So, as you can see, I keep all my stuff. All right. Now, granted, this was a letter that I wrote for my company that I was working for at the time, and I was like, I'm gonna, tell you right now that I am leaving. So you need to understand that. And I'm sorry, but that's just how it is, right? Okay. Now, again, I got to be quick because there's some information here that I don't need you to be reading entirely, right? So I have all these. Ah, you can see this. Do you guys see this? I think you guys should do this. Okay. That's just a piece of paper telling the places that I worked and where I worked and all of that nonsense. Now, okay. Was for that job. There. Okay. All right. So this sheet of paper here is my application. I'm not going to show anything to you guys, but needless to say, there's a lot of information that they needed that if I did not have that sheet of paper, I would be here all day, all night, all month trying to write this down. Okay. It's insane. Okay. And I know this sounds like hoarding, but all this paper I used every year I needed to when I went to a new place. Okay. Okay. I'm trying to think and see if I have it. Nope, I don't. The thing of it was my application. And my application needs me to list in specifics places. Okay. And the places that they're asking me to list is technical places, places that are legit, places I've been to, places that have know me, places that have seen me. I also need to know where I've been, whether I've been here and there. Okay. Again, I can't tell you the specifics of it because that's for the process that they take care of, and I can't expose that. Okay. But they need to know where I've been and where I am, and they need to know who knows my face and that sort of thing. But that's all you're going to know. That's all you're going to get. So you guys kind of hear and understand that there's a lot of people that probably know you on a regular basis. You guys catch my drift. Guaranteed, if you go to a job interview 2 months from now, you ain't going to remember all those 50 faces. You ain't going to remember all those 12 addresses. I guarantee you ain't going to remember the phone numbers for every place you walked into on a daily basis. Guarantee it. Because no one has it written down. No one has it memorized. No one keeps a rotary flip thing in their pocket. You just don't. But if you're smart and anything like me, you keep a record of this stuff. Trust me, it will carry you. So that's my third tip in this video. Keep a record of what you do, where you are, and where you've been. It will thank you in the long run. I took my interview process time from 4 hours to just under 2 hours. It was about an hour and 48 minutes, I think. Why? Because I had all the information. Copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. It's the same thing. I just didn't sit there and like, I was there then. I was there then. Ugh, what was that place called? Oh, yeah. I was there then. No, I was there before then, but I was there just. Oh, no, wait. I quit there and then went there. You see where this place gets into kind of some confusion? So, do yourself a favor. Keep this on file. Keep it on record. If you need to keep it your notes, keep it in the cloud, by all means. Now, if you don't want certain information on the cloud, keep that separate. Keep that hidden. But just keep a record so you can retrain your brain's process to pull that when you need to have that done. So we've gone into step and basically tip number 3. Okay. Um, People. When you transfer to new places, you're going to encounter new people. Okay. My suggestion when you go to new places is feel them out, not physically. We're not perverted folks. I mean, mentally we can be, but physically, keep that stuff out. Okay. All jokes aside, guys, and professionally here, get an understanding for the vibe, the energy of where you are, of your new place. Because if you keep that energy, people notice, people take note, people will reciprocate, people will appreciate. Okay. Now, if I had to get a group of people with me, okay, to do a task, an important task, I can count on 2 hands the number of people that I could say randomly, I want you, I want you, I want you, I want you, and I want you. Y'all come here. We're going to do this hard task. Now, whether they decide to reimburse you or compensate you later, that's up to them. But I'm asking for your help. And they would probably say yes, right? Because I'm not the CEO. I'm not the main guy. I'm not the top dog. I wish I was, but I'm not. Right. So I can't make the ultimate decisions. But if a non-urgent decision came down to me, I have a group of guys I could count on that we could go do it because I cater to them at the notion that I felt their energy, their vibe, their well-being, and I mattered to them and they mattered to me. So we kind of kept that flowing, right? So feel out the vibe of the people you're going to be around for a long time. Okay. Now, don't make a big scene. Don't make a big deal while you're in these new places because people notice and people will avoid you. Trust me. Okay. So feel out the people there. Now, speaking of people, when you are introduced to a new area, a new place, I highly encourage you to get to know particular people. People that can assist you in the right decision making, aka HR, aka your union, if it applies or is applicable. I'm unionized. I have people that encourage the right decision based on what is asked of me and what they are telling me. Okay. You should get to know people that can provide resources. You should get to know people that can provide answers. These don't have to be the same people, but they can also be the same people. Okay. Now, it's a bonus if the person that I'm mentioning these things is the same person in all of 3 or in all of 15. It's great because you don't have to track down all these people. But these are people you should have that you should know. Don't have to keep them in your record book, but you should know on a good basis. Hey, I need this. Yo, can I get this? Hey, I'm in a crunch. Can you give me advice? Hey, I don't know. Can you give me this information? It's not like, "Hey, man, give this to me." You're like, "I'm kind of in a bind. I need to do well. I need information to do well. So can you provide it?" So you need to know those types of people, right? And lastly, you need to also get to know people that are going to progress your goals. I'm talking about trainers or instructors, right? So when you go through fire school, you learn information. Those people are what you would call a teacher. We're called instructors. They're instructing information, right? They're providing knowledge, but in the practical part, they're instructing how to do that task, how to do that function. They're instructing you what to do, right? So without them, you couldn't do it. you can't do it because you don't know how to do it. They've done it before. They know the ins, the outs. They can do it and they can help you make the best ins and outs decision. Now, whether you tailor that to yourself, that's up to you. I encourage it, but it's up to you. But they can give you that advice. They can give you that feedback. They can give you that knowledge. So get to know people who will progress your future, your goals. Okay. Um, so we've talked about keeping record. We've talked about keeping quiet. We've talked about getting to know certain individuals, right? Now, one other tidbit I want to talk about here, real quick. Certain things that you acquire can be transferred to. What am I talking about? Your hard earned, valuable assets. And by the way, I'm also talking about monetary assets. Okay. You need to know about your 401ks. You need to know about your pay stubs. You need to know about your vacations. You need to know about your sick pay. You need to also know about your FMLAs. You're going to be away from working. You're not going to work 24/7, 365 days a year. You're just not. We get that. Okay. I have to take sick pay. I have to put money in my 401k. I don't want to keep working until I die, right? Duh. Everyone knows this. It's common knowledge. But we often forget that when we're there to ask about that information because we're not in control. They are. They make that choice because we're working for them. That's what you guys have to understand. Now, you guys that are veterans and you've been around the block a few times, you're kind of on the earth a while, you get that. You do that on a regular basis because you're used to that. It's kind of common knowledge for you. But for you guys that are new to this kind of stuff and aren't exposed to this stuff, you forget about that stuff until you realize, why is my 401k so light? Why don't I have any money in there and have been there 15 years? Maybe because you didn't ask about it. Maybe because you didn't ask about the contribution you have to imply. Maybe because you weren't aware that the 401ks from your previous employers can roll into this one if you do. In fact, you didn't know about that, by the way, now you do. You also should be aware about the difference between a pension and a 401k because they're not the same. You should do the math on that. You should do the homework on that, right? So get to know your financial aspect of where you are, okay? Because some of these companies, folks, do not want you to know about it. I'm not saying they will not give it to you and are denying you, but they don't want you to have that because when they pay you, they're not paying them. And if it's a business, you make profit, you make money, you get money. So if they're not getting any money, if you, me, and you guys watching this are not asking for what you are entitled to, sick pay, your FMLA, your vacation, 9 times out of 10, it's usually paid, okay, according to, law and statutes. There's some vacations that you can take that's not paid, and they're not paying, but you can take them. You're just not accruing attendance problems, attendance issues. We call them attendance points, but they're really attendance issues, right? You're not accruing problems later on. You're just not getting paid for it. So again, ask for those because they're not just going to tell you, right? They will say at orientation, hey, so you guys get vacation, you get 401k, but they kind of are general about it. It's your job to ask people about this. Find out either at orientation. I do not suggest you bombard them with all these because you're going to wear them out. There's one part about being proactive and wanting to be worth the company's money And there's another one about just wanting all the money. You see, people want to invest on longevity, right? As I'm working, I normally view people as human beings. I don't view them as machines. I see that you have something at home. I see that you have something at heart. I see that you want something at heart. You get something at heart, right? So you have a purpose, you have a value, you have a want. I get that. So I want to give you value, right? So we're on the same page. So if I see that you're investing in your goodness, your well being, and your gratitude, your gratification, because you feel good, I'm more inclined to provide you with growth, with more opportunity, with more experience, because you genuinely want that, right? Now, it's available, it's providable, but if I had the choice between someone who could value that and someone who's just there for it, right? Now, this is two walks of life here. I get that, right? It's a bad analogy, but I'm using it to illustrate this point, right? Your 401k employer should provide, right? It's some of them are by law, okay? And some of the other things like FMLA, it's by law, right? Your paid vacations it's almost by law, but not every, vacation type is by law payable, okay? Like, there's unpaid leave, unpaid vacation. I can take it a week, but they're not paying me that week. I'm losing a straight week of pay. Now, there's programs that are applicable to me that if I don't speak out and ask about, I've lost that whole 40 hours of that pay that I could have had, or 20 hours, or however many hours you would work. So, let's say I was like had to attend to something and I couldn't be there. So I needed to take unpaid vacation, right? Like 4 or 5 days, right? To seriously tackle something. Now, let's say FMLA could have covered the money and could have covered the pay for that. Hey, I've got this problem, this situation going on. Can you cover this for me? So back to my original point, if you express that you want to grow within your well-being, within your future, within your goal, then people are going to want to step forward and provide more resources, more benefits, more value to you, for you, faster and at a easier rate. Okay. Like when I go to different like stations, when I go to different jobs or different work areas, right? And they know about me and they know what I have and what I bring to the table, they're more than likely allowing me to do extensive things, extensive skills, extensive projects that they normally wouldn't offer to just Joe off the street or just Billy that's been there, just clock in and clock out. You know what I mean? Like if I extensively want to do good, want to give good, want to have good, they're going to extend that to me, right? Now, I'm not saying you should be the cream of the crop. You should, grab someone, from behind, and just kind of climb a ladder, um, I can't think of the word, an imaginary type of ladder, right? Because that's the way some people can do it. And look, I get it. I completely understand it. You just want to get to the top. You want to make all that money, make all that bank. You want to be rich. You want to be famous. I get that. I do. I've seen it. Some people just want to be there because of the gratitude, the gratification, the well being, the feeling, and the passion they get while being I love my job. I love it. I freaking love it, folks. That's why I'm there weathering the storms, literally. The weather, the heat, everything. I'm still there after 5 years because I love it. So I'm going to drive myself to give them growth, to give them ambition, to give them perseverance. Not because they required it, not because they asked of it, because I want to gain it. Let's say they build a whole huge airport that has 8 runways, that has 3 control towers, that has 25,000 employees. It'd be overwhelming, but I know I can do it because every time I'm in an airport, every time I'm in a new work area, I'm not there to clock in, put my head in my work, and clock out because I see more, I see bigger, I see new things, right? And you don't have to think like me, guys. I get that. I do. You're not me, I'm not you. We don't come from a different upbringing. We don't come from a different culture. You know what I mean? But at the same token, I, I would be able to accept that as opposed to just staying at the same place forever. And it would kill me to know if I stayed in a small, regionally sized airport, knowing I can fully take on Atlanta, London Heathrow, Dulles, Houston, DFW, these massive sized airports that are constantly turning things left and right, Sydney, left and right, over and over and over and over and over. Excuse me. So, absolutely, know people for the simple part of wanting to better your skill, your knowledge, and your well being in where you're going. Okay. So it's kind of driving my next point, and I'm not really going to elaborate too much because I've really condensedly explained it. But when you learn a new skill and you're going to, oh, I'm hiccuping and burping. So sorry, guys. When you do, okay, they're giving you skill that, yes, you need to use and you got to use where you are. But who's to say you can't carry that? The skills I learned back in my old station, ID, do you think I learned everything I do now from where I am now? No. I brought what I learned from them over here. Now, there is a caveat, a huge caveat, a huge but here. Bring that with you like a pad of paper, a notebook, a wallet. I'll use my wallet as an example. Stick that in your back pocket and keep quiet. Goes back to my very second or first point I mentioned. You've got the skill, you've got the knowledge. Apply it. Apply it. What you shouldn't do is you shouldn't assume because you're going to make a what out of you and me? You guessed it, right? I put it in the chat, right? Go read the chat. You get it? Don't ever assume. You should not assume that their way is your way and your way is their way. Doesn't work that way. Actually, It's a good life lesson. Wherever you go, whether it's strangers, friends, relatives, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, fiance, whatever, coworker, their way is not your way. So don't impose your way on their way and think it's kosher. You can suggest that you implement that, but again, if it's not their way, your way is not their way. What? Wait, wait. Yes, I know I'm speaking to you like a dog. Wait. When you're in the company and presence of them in their domicile, if you're in your domicile, in your space, in your area, and they're present too, then absolutely your way is their way. Do they have to agree with your way? No, they don't. They can objectify to it, and you can objectify to their way as well. But do not, folks, and I stress this urgently and so much, do not go to new places thinking that it's going to be the same way there. The best way to explain this and the best advice I can give you in that bullet point, in that idea, and that part, that knowledge I'm sharing with you. Do you know what an Etch a Sketch is? Do you guys remember what an Etch a Sketch is? For you guys that are not the same year as me and have never even heard of it, I'm going to show you what it looks like. Look at my screen. That is what you call an Etch a Sketch. See that? You see those knobs? Right here and here? Now, gonna have to kind of do this quick because I don't want to get flagged for copyright, but this is someone's artwork. I don't know who, so I cannot properly give them copyright credit. So we're going to leave this as unanimous and give mental credit to those that did this, because it's pretty amazing when you think about what you have to do with this. Somebody had to take those two buttons and dials and draw that just by turning it left and right, both of them. Pretty crazy, right? Pretty. Matter of fact, it even says horizontal right there. Okay. It says it right there. Horizontal dial. See that? Right there. See where my finger is? Horizontal dial. Okay. That means that the plane is making a mark horizontally. And there's a dial that says a vertical dial, and it goes up and down, right? Think of lines on a globe. Goes up and down and then across, right? Now, they use that to draw. Now, let me ask you this question. Do you think people that own this toy can draw one and throw that away and go buy a new one? You Gen Xers and older people, shh, you know the answer to this. Don't answer. Do you think they have to go and buy a whole new one? Do you think all these people had to go buy new ones to get all those images? Show of hands. I mean, I'm not gonna wait here like 30 minutes because it's crazy, it's stupid. But hypothetically, show of hands, how many of you think they have to throw that away? Okay, well, I'm gonna tell you guys you're wrong. Because you ever heard the phrase etch a sketch? Shh, shh, shh. Never happened? Well, they came up with that because on an etch a sketch, there were like sand pixels in there, right? In the actual device. I don't know the actual way it works and how it did it, but what happened was you took it in your hands and you shook it, right? And as you shook it, it erased the stuff on the screen. Wow. Brand new canvas. Never happened. Was like it never even occurred. You never even moved the dials. You never even owned it. But you were just on there making images just like this. The map, Disney World, you name it. Shh, 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 shh. Never happened, right? So when you transfer to these new places, etch a sketch yourself. Shh, 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 shh. Never happened. Whoa, buddy. Let's backtrack a bit, right? Because remember what I said in the beginning. If they ask you in question, in instruction, in conversation, I hate using the word interrogation, but we'll call it interview, right? Because they want to like get some questions to give you better and tailored, more personal information to you. They're going to ask you that. And so that's where you would give them, hey, so prime example, hey, so back where I used to work, we had this work area and they had people work that area and they came and assisted. I notice you don't. So how do you do it here? I wasn't just I didn't just come here and start working and assume that they were going to come out and meet me because they didn't. They can't. They won't. They don't do that. So I had to ask. But the fact that I knew that that occurred back at my station, I didn't openly tell them to that. But if they're like, "You seem a bit confused," that's where I would be like, "Okay, so back where I used to work, that happened, this happened. So I, me, you, us, am having a hard time connecting the new information and the old information and how that this applies and is applicable to the training, the instruction that you're providing me. You feel me? You get it? So, yes, if they're asking you so they can further your knowledge base, further your general wealth of information, please help them help you, right? That's how we play this game. Help them help you. But don't bombard them with all this that you know. People hate that. Okay? They hate that. They're more than likely I mean, I've been in multiple job places and multiple people and classifications where someone did that, and let me tell you folks, we avoided that person like the plague. If I had to assign a task and I did not want anyone to do it, guess who I'm picking on? Yep, that guy or that person or her, right? Because it can be anybody. There's no pointing anyone out. The person that's just blah, 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 blah. I'm like, ugh, I don't want to deal with you. Hey, go make yourself busy. I want to speak to you, right? But when you go there completely open to new things, new beginnings, think of it like a relationship. When you're in a new relationship, are you bringing all your old baggage? Are you bringing all your old problems? Are you bringing all your old routines with that individual to your new relationship? No. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Etch a sketch. Never happened. However, if you get into an argument and you were like, hey, wait a minute. Back in August of 1975, I remember vividly having that argument. And instead of fighting and interrupting, I heard their point of view, applied it to the situation, stepped back, looked at my point of view, and applied their point of view to my point of view, finding a solution is now 5 times easier. Okay? It's the same at my line of work. It's the same when you transfer. Don't just forget about it like an Etch-a-Sketch completely and start all over from square one, right? If you know how to wing walk, wing walk. If you know how to marshal, marshal. If you know how to push, push. But each place may have a different spot you should stand, a different motion you should use, a different vehicle you should operate. It's the same thing, same motion, same function, same end goal, just delivered differently, right? Same goal, just different delivery. So bring it with you, but don't wave it around like you've got a wad of cash, right? No one wants to see your wad of cash. I have cash in here. I absolutely do. I can tell you how much, but I have cash. But do you see me waving it around your face? Did I ever once tell you I had a wad of cash in here? Did you see this on here? Yes, you did. If you ask me about it and you say, hey, do you have cash? I'm like, well, depends on who's asking. Why do you need to know? There's reasons why you're asking me. Now, if you say, hey, I need to go exchange this for a 10. Do you have this so I can avoid doing this? Like, yes, I do. I have that. Matter of fact, here, I'll make it easier. I'll break it up for you so you can save yourself that trip. Here you go. But that was based on the scenario and the specific situation, right? I didn't just voluntarily tell you that I had that. Same applies to your job. Same applies to transferring. Same applies from one place to another. Don't go around telling people your way is their way and you won't accept any other way because you're going to go and shoot yourself in the foot real fast. It's a good one-way ticket back to where you came from, telling you. And if they have no way of putting you back to where you came from, that's a good one-way ticket to an exit. But they're just gonna try any way and every way to try to get you out. Trust me. How do I know? Ask me how I know. It wasn't pretty. So, yes, that's probably gonna be my last tip. If there are any other tips and tricks that you guys know, do me a favor. First of all, please tap that subscribe button right up there, right over there, or even down there, right? So you can see this content pop up on your feed, right? Also, drop a comment, guys. This channel is for knowledge, it's for wealth. Knowledge is wealthy. Knowledge is time. Time is money. Money is knowledge. Money is wealth. Wealth is knowledge. It's a trifecta. You feel me? So drop a comment down there. Let's help each other out. Let's get this going, guys. All right? Now, um, if you would like to drop a like, I appreciate that. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this here. I don't think I have any other tips there to explain to you, but we went over the paperwork. We went over the process on getting there. Remember, keep your stuff up to date and keep it in record physically, like I showed you. Okay. Number two, get to know people, right? and you should do this fairly quickly, okay? I'm not asking you to do it in the first week, but don't wait 5 years to get to know everybody. Get to know them so you can progress your career in a, consistent manner. Um, don't don't berate your wealth, your knowledge among others. Don't do it, okay? Unless you're asked for it, okay? And then, I can't remember the other one. Yeah, I think they all kinda tied together, but it's early in the morning, my brain is kinda, like, garbled and stuff and, like, get ready to get tossed out in the trash, so, I've done spoke for about an hour and a half, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm gonna cut this live here, so, yeah, do yourself a favor, guys, go ahead and like this, go ahead and drop a subscribe. We push out good content. I push it out on a regular basis, at least I'm trying to since I'm in a new place here. But yeah, I hope this finds you guys well, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I don't mean that in a bad way, like HR kind of way. I hope this finds you very well, and I hope that this helps carry you guys into your future, your endeavors, all right, your well-being, your growth. I want to see you succeed. All right. I love each and every one of you guys. I'm Sean, ToGA brother. I'm out. Thank y'all for watching.